Join me today as I take one of the cheapest direct flights across the Atlantic. To be precise, I'm flying on American Airlines Boeing 777 from Frankfurt, Germany to Dallas, Texas. Some people say American Airlines is one of the worst economy class products out there. So let's see what they are really like and how many points they can score in my airline ranking. But before we start, take a guess in the comments how much I paid for my flight. My flight was scheduled to leave Frankfurt at 10:15. After arriving at the airport 2 hours before planned departure, I made my way over to the American Airlines check-in counters, which are located all the way at the end of Terminal 2. For some reason, the self-service kiosk wouldn't let me check in that morning, so an American Airlines employee sent me over to the staffed counter. The check-in agent there seemed to be pretty overwhelmed with the entire check-in process and was apparently also having trouble with the system, which led to the check-in process taking nearly half an hour. But that might have also been caused by my itinerary, which included 3 flights.
Perfekt, Dankeschön. Also, schönen Tag Ihnen noch. Tschüss.
After I finally got hold of my boarding pass, I went through passport control and security. Just 10 minutes later, I found myself in the gate area. Each gate there had a separate waiting area that required me to scan my boarding pass to enter.
Perfekt, danke.
Those waiting areas usually offer enough seating for everyone, as long as you're not flying on a large plane such as an A380. They also feature massive windows, which offer an amazing view of the tarmac. I only had to wait about 35 minutes before my group was called to board the airplane. But before I get on board, let's quickly rate the ground experience. To make it fair, I don't take the airport into account, because the airlines really can't do much about that, but only check-in, lounge and boarding experience. And to be honest, that check-in wasn't an outstanding performance by American, so I'll give it 2.5 out of 5 points. Now, let's hop on board and see what American Airlines is really like. I was worried that I might have to check my carry-on bag because they pulled a few people in front of me aside and I had 3 instead of 2 items. Luckily, they didn't seem to mind me, whether that was because of my young solo traveler bonus or because they just really didn't care. I don't know. I then took an escalator down to the jet bridge, where I could see the plane taking me across the Atlantic today. November 790 Alpha November. A 24-year-old Boeing 777-200ER. It was delivered to American Airlines in 2001. This plane features 273 seats in a 3-class configuration, 37 lie-flat business class seats in the 1-to-1 config, 24 premium economy seats in the 2-for-2 config, as well as 66 economy seats classified as main cabin extra in a 3-for-3 config, which offer 5 to 6 inches of extra legroom and could be reserved for $80 to $140, and 146 standard economy seats, also in a 3-for-3 config. My seat for this flight was 36L. Located in one of the last rows of the 777, it is in a 2-for-2 configuration. I was able to reserve this seat before my flight for no extra charge. The seats American offers in economy are Saffron 5751 seats. Those are equipped with an adjustable headrest and feature 31 inches of pitch. On the seat waiting for me was a blanket and a pillow with one of those scratchy covers. Unfortunately, I forgot to film those, but please bear with me as this is my first ever trip report in a really long form video. Being 6 foot tall, the legroom was alright, as long as the person in front of me didn't recline. The seat back pocket was clean and featured a brand new safety card, as well as an air sickness bag. The seat also offered a reasonably sized tray table, which could be half or fully opened, and moved back and forth. The personal entertainment screen was unfortunately not adjustable, but features, as usual for US carriers, a really big selection of movies and TV shows, as well as a smooth working moving map. Underneath the entertainment system, you'll find a USB-A port and a universal power outlet, as well as a remote control for the entertainment system. Above the seat, reading lights and personal air vents. Because I had a seat in one of the 2-for-2 configured rows, I had a little bit of extra storage and legroom. The seat gets a rating of 3.5 out of 5 points from me. It did meet all my expectations, but the legroom just wasn't anything special, and not being able to tilt the personal entertainment screen was just really annoying, especially because the person in front of me was reclined throughout nearly the entire flight. I also found the seat cushion to be a bit stiff. Before pushing back, we first needed to de-ice the plane, since it was a really cold day in Frankfurt. Due to the de-icing process, we built up a slight delay. After de-icing, we pushed back from the gate 30 minutes late and made our way to runway 07 center, where we took off into a beautiful morning. While taxiing, I would really appreciate if you gave me some feedback about the video in the comments. Also subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Only if you enjoyed though, of course. Now enjoy the takeoff. Around 1.5 hours after takeoff, lunch was served. Today's options were the classic chicken or pasta. I went for the pasta, since the chicken on my last American flight did not only taste disgusting, but also gave me food poisoning. The pasta was served with what I think were some sort of mushrooms and a cheesy tomato sauce. I also got some butter, a really fresh looking and tasty salad, an alright bread roll, some crackers with cheese, a small bottle of water, and some caramel cake as a dessert. A couple minutes later, a cart with drinks came around, where I went with a Sprite. Without asking for it, I was served the entire can, which I really appreciate when airlines do. Overall, the meal was pretty solid and met my expectations, therefore 4 out of 5 points for the meal. Throughout the entire flight, snacks and drinks were offered in the galley. I could have theoretically made the money I spent on the flight back, solely by having a couple snacks and drinks, at least calculating with airport prices. Now it's time for the review. Unfortunately, I didn't get the audio for some reason, so I'll have to do a voiceover. I was in the back lavatory of the 777, which was relatively spacious and overall very clean. It didn't feature any special amenities, but I didn't really expect that anyway. We took a relatively far northern route today, which allowed me to get a glimpse of the Arctic. Let's use the chance to talk about the crew. If you've ever flown long haul on a US carrier, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. Even though the crew was very organized and knew what they were doing, I was just missing the hospitability I know from other airlines, and the entire experience just felt very cold-hearted, if you know what I mean. That's why I rate the crew with 3 out of 5 points. We then made our way down through Canada and got a little snack service around 1 hour before landing. For this service, the options were either a slice of margarita pizza or some sort of spinach-filled pastry. By the time they had reached my row, they were already out of the pizza, so I got one of those pastries. It tasted alright, but wasn't anything special. With this pastry, I also got another drink service, where I went for ginger ale, and again, without asking, got the entire can. Soon after, we started our descent into Dallas-Fort Worth, and touched down half an hour early. Luckily, we had a very short taxi today, which isn't always the case in Dallas. Deboarding was quick and easy, and I made my way to immigration, where a 30-minute line awaited me. After clearing immigration, my suitcase was already at the back claim, and I cleared customs. Overall, I must say, I did really enjoy my flight with American Airlines, especially considering how much, or better say not much, I paid for the flight, which were 218 euros or $250 US. Therefore, American Airlines gets a price to performance score of 5 out of 5 points. They might not be the best airline out there, but definitely a solid option for a transatlantic economy flight. In total, they managed to score 18 out of 25 points, and therefore placed first in my airline scoreboard. But that's probably just because there is no other airline on the scoreboard, since as I said, this is my first ever trip report. So thank you a lot for watching my video to the end, and if you've got any feedback or any recommendations for me, just put them down in the comments, and yeah.